August 4, 2022, 13:24, 25.
Truck 1 responding somewhere.
MR6 to Command 4.
Good.
Just as a heads up, there's a pretty good header of smoke in that area for that structure fire. We're going to a different call though.
Copy. Engine 3 responding somewhere.
Dispatch from Truck 1, we do have a header. Let's call this working fire.
Copy. Working fire 1325. Truck 10 responding. Truck 4 responding.
AMR 97 and USPI.
Copy. Battalion 1 responding. Battalion 2 responding. Engine 13 responding.
Dispatch from Rescue 17, East Charles responding.
Copy. And all units responding to the structure fire at Cheyenne Boulevard and South Home Street. We've received multiple reports of a good header. Truck 1 has called this a working fire. Utilities has been advised. It's going to be on the second floor apartment building on the southeast corner of the roundabout.
That's an all responding units from Battalion 1. Battalion runs on scene. This is a working structure fire. We have heavy fire involvement on the third floor. This is a building under construction. First in engine, I need you to take your own water supply. Prepared for it. Engine 3/4 to the third floor. Truck all 4 in for search.
Truck 4 copy, 4 in for search. Battalion 1 from Truck 1, we're pulling up on scene now. You want us all in to search?
I need to make sure we do not have construction workers in there, and I need to evacuate the Bravo 1 exposure.
This is Tim Dragish. I am Battalion 1 A shift. My original thought was at inch and 3/4. Once I pulled around to the alpha side and saw the body of fire, I called for a transitional attack with a 2.5 from engine 1. And then I needed a 2.5 on the backside from engine 14. And then I had an exposure problem with a small Victorian home on the Delta 1 exposure, so I wanted to make sure we had exposure protection on that, which I originally gave the 13s, 3s, then 13s. And I called all 4 in on Truck 1 due to the fact that I thought there may be construction workers in there by the amount of trucks that were in the back of the building, like work trucks. So I wanted to make sure we didn't have construction workers in there. We had probably 1/3 of the entire third floor on fire on arrival. My assignments were engine 1, transitional 2.5, truck 1 all in, truck 4 Rick, and then as engine started coming, I assigned engine 13 to stretch a line, engine 14 to stretch a 2.5 for a transitional attack on the Charlie side, engine 3 for a backup line. What went well, I felt, was we used big hand lines early because of the amount of fire, and to protect the structure on the Delta 1. Those were kind of my priorities. Out of the ordinary, I think the biggest thing was because it was unprotected wood as it was a building under construction, it was burning fast, so I just thought we better get water on it as quick as we can and keep it in check the best we can. So I had aerials raised up in case we needed to go elevated streams. We ended up flowing inch and 3/4 off the tips instead of using elevated streams. And then as far as lessons learned, I think the hardest thing for me is when I wrote down my resource order, it didn't match with the way trucks were coming in. I had crews there that I didn't even know were there. And when summer drill cut loose, all those units came over. So as far as resource ordering what I needed, it was a little bit off, but I was able to manage it okay.
I'm Eric Riker, Lieutenant, assigned to Engine 1 on the A shift. Initial assignment from BC1 was a 2.5 transition on the Alpha Delta corner. As Engine 1 paramedic and Engine 1 firefighter, were conducting that. Our driver had hooked up to a hydrant on the alpha side, soft suction that. I completed a 360 and noticed a little bit of fire extension on the Charlie side of the building, moving to the Bravo 1 exposure. We had an aggressive fire attack. We were able to knock the majority of the fire down, move interior to the fire unit to the second floor, and extinguish the majority of the fire from there.
This is Tim Rink, driver engineer at Station 1 on the A shift. I was acting on Truck 1 for the incident at 5 West Ramona on August 4th, 2022. Shortly after going en route, we noted a header and made the call for a working structure fire. Upon arrival, there was a large body of fire on the third floor of a 3-story, 4-unit townhouse building. Fire was located in the delta end of the structure, or the west end. The structure itself was composed of those 4 units. Building was under construction and in the final stages of framing. The assignment that was given to Truck 1 by Battalion 1 was all 4 in for search. 2 members from Truck 1 made entry into the fire occupancy, and other 2 members made entry into the attached Bravo 1 exposure for primary search. The other 2 Bravo exposures were subsequently searched as well. After knockdown of the main body of fire was accomplished using multiple exterior handlines, performing a transitional attack, Truck 1 assisted Engine 1 with deployment of a 2.5-inch handline to the interior of the fire occupancy for extinguishment. Truck 1 was then sent to rehab. Post-rehab, Truck 1's next assignment was to deploy an 1 3/4 handline up the aerial to the tip of the ladder for overhaul and hotspot extinguishment. This tactic was used due to the structural instability of the third floor of the fire occupancy. The search was conducted extremely rapidly due to the fact that the fire itself vented through the third floor and there were no contents inside the structure. This made for very clear conditions inside the occupancy. Truck 1's aerial device was deployed by Lieutenant McFerrin, who came over from the APES drill that was happening just a few blocks away. I think there were several things that went extremely well during this fire. Having a battalion chief show up and set it up exactly the way, that Chief Dragish wanted it set up went extremely well. The other thing was having quick water on the fire. We had the potential for a tremendous amount of loss during this fire, but because of quick water on the fire, we were able to save the majority of the structure.
The question that was presented to me was, why did I decide to have interior lines operate after primary search and the risk benefit? We had such heavy involvement with the top floor that approximately 1/3 of the top floor was fully involved, that I wanted to go 2.5-inch smooth bore transitional attack on the Alpha Charlie. Once we had the primary knockdown, I knew that this was unprotected wood, no drywall. I needed to get interior lines in place to keep the fire from spreading laterally. So crews did stretch to the top floor for fire attack. However, all lines were operated from safe areas that were not into the involved apartment. For firefighting into the involved apartment, I had Truck 1 and Truck 4 raise their ladders up, and we stretched 1 3/4 and ran those off the tip of the sticks, so we wouldn't put any firefighters to the actual room of origin.
Okay, so when the fire on Ramona was dispatched, I had, I believe, Engine 6, Engine 14, Engine 16, and Truck 9 at APES. It was early in the evolution. We were just getting started and briefed. Chief Dragish was there also. The fire got dispatched, and I went and had a face-to-face with him, knowing the proximity of the dispatched address, and asked if he wanted me to free up those companies for that response or to cancel APES due to the potential for a working incident. And he told me to continue with APES, and unless it really turned into something, and try to get APES accomplished. And the big challenge I had was keeping everyone's attention, trying to accomplish APES, as we started to see the headers start to develop to our north. Everyone obviously was very anxious, and everyone's telling me, hey, we're the closest company, we're still closer than anyone. Couldn't even hear sirens yet, but could see smoke, and Dragish was arriving and doing a size up. While I understand that, I had very specific instructions from Chief Dragish and trying to accomplish that and maintain control of all those companies and keep their focus was certainly a challenge.
This is Kevin Simpson, Lieutenant at Station 14 on the A shift. For the Ramona fire, I was the Engine 14 officer. The initial assignment that we received from command was to secure our own water supply and to take a 2.5 inch to the Charlie side, assisting with the transitional attack that was already underway. When I function as the incident safety officer on hazmat, I start to look for the obvious safety concerns and also sort of the obscure ones. In this particular incident, I didn't notice that there was an approximately 4 foot by 6 foot wood cantilevered decorative roof section on that Charlie Delta corner that had been compromised. It was actually brought to my attention by Battalion 2, and then I went ahead and flagged it and communicated it accordingly to all of the incident personnel. But my takeaway from this is we're all safety officers, even when functioning as company officers, and just a reminder to myself that getting task focused is always, there's always that potential. So
this is Captain Rick Schmidt, Station 6, Safety and Accountability Program. And this information is primarily about the emergency traffic that I called as the Safety and Accountability Officer. My part of Safety and Accountability was to get a 360. I started on the D side, saw heavy fire involvement primarily on the 3rd floor with the roof burned away, and some fire involvement on the 2nd floor. A member of the RIC team, Steve Roser, came to me and said, hey, we're standing over here and we noticed that there might be some structural instability on that 3rd floor. Well, when I saw that exterior delta side wall moving, like a wave was coming across it as I think water lines were hitting it and so forth. There's a lot of radio traffic. I just called an emergency traffic and had the interior crews do an emergency egress and bring their stuff with them. And our folks were quickly responsive to it and found a different way of accomplishing the mission, but in a safer way.